Being nice is the most expensive mistake you'll ever make. While you've been conditioned to believe that kindness equals strength, that putting others first makes you noble, and that avoiding conflict makes you mature, you've unknowingly signed up for a lifetime subscription to mediocrity. Every please and thank you that comes from fear rather than choice, every boundary you fail to set, every time you bite your tongue when you should speak truth, you're not being virtuous, you're being weak. Niccolo Machiavelli understood something about human nature that your Sunday school teacher didn't. Men are so simple and so much inclined to obey immediate needs that a deceiver will never lack victims willing to be deceived. The harsh reality is that while you've been playing by rules of universal kindness, everyone else has been playing a different game entirely. You think you're being moral. You think you're taking the high road, but what you're to recognize that being universally nice is not a virtue. It's a strategy that guarantees you'll be universally overlooked. The transformation you're about to experience will feel uncomfortable at first. Your programming runs deep. Every fiber of your conditioning will resist what you're about to learn. But here's what's at stake. Continuing down your current path means a future of resentment, where your kindness becomes bitterness because it was never truly chosen, only expected. It means relationships built on imbalance, career progression that depends on others' charity, and a deep, gnawing sense that life is happening to you rather than being created by you. Machiavelli didn't write about power because he was evil. He wrote about it because he understood that in a world where power exists, those who refuse to understand it become its victims. Your nice guy programming isn't protecting you from the harsh realities of human nature. Every relationship in your life operates on an unspoken contract that you never agreed to but somehow signed. Your value is determined by your usefulness to others. Your friendships exist because you're the reliable one, the one who listens, the one who gives without asking. Your romantic relationships begin with you as the safe option, the understanding one, the one who gets it, and end with you wondering why passion seems to exist for everyone except you. In your career, you've become the person others depend on but don't respect. You get the work done, you don't cause problems, you're a team player. But when promotion time comes, it goes to someone else. Someone who hasn't put in half your effort, but has twice your confidence in asking for what they want. You tell yourself it's about fairness, about merit, about doing the right thing. But deep down, you know the truth. You've made yourself indispensable in all the wrong ways. The most insidious part of nice guy programming is how it disguises resentment as virtue. You've convinced yourself that your frustration with others is actually your moral superiority. When people don't reciprocate your kindness, you don't see it as a boundary issue. You see it as evidence of their character flaws. Kindness automatically generates respect, gratitude, or reciprocation. It's simply a choice you make, and when you make it from a place of fear rather than strength, it communicates weakness rather than virtue. Your nice guy programming has taught you that conflict is bad, that asserting yourself is selfish, that your needs matter less than others' comfort. Appear to be, few experience what you really are. This principle cuts both ways. While you've been focused on being authentic and genuine, admirable qualities, you've neglected to develop the skill of reading what others are really communicating through their actions rather than their words. Strategic awareness begins with understanding that every human interaction contains multiple layers of information. There's what people say, what they do, what they need, what they fear, and what they want. Your nice guy programming has trained you to focus almost exclusively on the first layer, what people say, while ignoring the more important information contained in the other layers. When your boss tells you that your extra effort is really appreciated, but never translates that appreciation into advancement or compensation, the words are layer 1. Layer 2 is the action, maintaining the status quo. Layer 3 is the need, someone reliable to handle excess work. Layer 4 is the fear, disrupting a system that works for them. Layer 5 is the want, to keep you exactly where you are. Strategic awareness means training yourself to process all 5 layers simultaneously. It means recognizing that when someone consistently takes without giving, their words about appreciation are simply management tactics, not expressions of genuine value for your contribution. Apply this immediately. For the next week, practice the 5-layer analysis. The second component of strategic awareness is understanding your own value accurately. Your nice guy programming has trained you to undervalue your contributions and overvalue others' needs. This creates a distorted perception where you consistently give more than you receive, not because you're generous, but because you've miscalculated the exchange. Start documenting your actual contributions in relationships and professional settings. Not to keep score in a petty way, but to calibrate your internal sense of balance. You'll likely discover that you've been operating at a significant deficit for years, wondering why you feel drained and unappreciated. The third aspect of strategic awareness is recognizing patterns rather than getting lost in individual incidents. Your nice guy programming makes you treat each disappointment as an isolated event. They must be having a bad day. They're under a lot of stress. They didn't mean it that way. Strategic awareness reveals that patterns of behavior are far more predictive than individual actions. When someone consistently prioritizes their needs over yours, that's not a series of unfortunate circumstances. That's their operational framework for the relationship. When opportunities consistently go to more assertive people, that's not bad luck. That's the reality of how advancement actually works. Here's your immediate implementation strategy. Choose one relationship where you consistently feel unappreciated or taken for granted. For the next 2 weeks, apply strategic awareness. Document what they say, what they do, what they need, what they fear, and what they want. Look for patterns. Notice the gap between their words and actions. Observe how they respond when you're not immediately available to meet their needs. This exercise will feel uncomfortable because it will reveal truths about relationships you've been romanticizing. You'll see that some people in your life are far more selfish than you allowed yourself to acknowledge. You'll recognize that some of your close relationships are actually quite one-sided. This discomfort is not a sign that you're becoming cynical or mean. It's a sign that you're developing the capacity to see clearly. And clear vision is the foundation of effective action. Strategic awareness doesn't mean becoming suspicious of everyone or assuming the worst about people's motivations. It means developing the skill to accurately assess situations so you can respond effectively rather than reactively. It means making conscious choices about where to invest your energy based on reality rather than hope. The second pillar of your transformation is emotional sovereignty, the ability to maintain internal stability regardless of external circumstances or other people's reactions. Your nice guy programming has made you emotionally dependent on others in ways you haven't fully recognized. Your sense of worth fluctuates based on approval or disapproval. Your mood shifts based on how others treat you. Your decisions are influenced more by avoiding conflict than by pursuing what you actually want. This isn't kindness. It's emotional reactivity disguised as consideration. Emotional sovereignty means developing the capacity to remain centered in your own values and vision regardless of external pressure or manipulation. It means understanding that other people's emotions, while valid for them, are not your responsibility to manage, fix, or avoid triggering. The first component of emotional sovereignty is learning to distinguish between empathy and absorption. Empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of others while maintaining your own emotional center. Absorption is unconsciously taking on others' emotions as if they were your own. Your nice guy programming has trained you to absorb others' discomfort and make it your problem to solve. Practice this distinction immediately. When someone around you is upset, frustrated, or disappointed, notice your automatic impulse to fix, soothe, or take responsibility for their emotional state. Instead of acting on this impulse, pause and ask yourself, is this my emotion or theirs? What is my actual responsibility in this situation? This doesn't mean becoming cold or uncaring. It means recognizing that allowing others to experience their emotions without immediately rushing to rescue them is actually more respectful than assuming they can't handle their own feelings. The second aspect of emotional sovereignty is developing comfort with others' disapproval or disappointment. Your nice guy programming has made others' negative reactions feel like emergencies that must be avoided at all costs. This has given others unconscious power over your decisions. They've learned that expressing displeasure is an effective way to control your behavior. Machiavelli understood this dynamic. Since love and fear can hardly exist together, if we must choose between them, it is far safer to be feared than loved. This doesn't mean becoming intimidating or cruel. It means understanding that being comfortable with others' temporary displeasure is essential for maintaining healthy boundaries and authentic relationships. Here's your practical application. Identify one area of your life where you consistently compromise your preferences to avoid someone's negative reaction. This could be social plans you don't want to participate in, extra work you don't have time for, or conversations you avoid because they might cause tension. Choose the smallest, least threatening example and practice maintaining your position despite the other person's displeasure. Don't justify, explain extensively, or apologize for having boundaries. Simply state your position clearly and calmly, then allow them to have whatever reaction they have without rushing to fix it. The third component of emotional sovereignty is developing internal validation systems that don't depend on external approval. Your nice guy programming has made you addicted to positive feedback from others as confirmation that you're valuable. This creates a cycle where you constantly modify your behavior to generate approval, losing connection with your authentic preferences and values in the process. Start building internal metrics for success and fulfillment that you can evaluate independently of others' opinions. Instead of measuring your day by whether people seemed pleased with you, measure it by whether you honored your commitments to yourself, maintained your boundaries, and acted in alignment with your values. Create a daily practice of acknowledging your own growth and progress. This isn't about positive thinking or self-deception. It's about developing the capacity to recognize your worth independent of external validation. Write down one thing each day that you handled well, one boundary you maintained, or one moment when you chose authenticity over approval. The fourth aspect of emotional sovereignty is learning to communicate from clarity rather than emotion. Your nice guy programming has trained you to either suppress your feelings to avoid conflict or express them in ways that invite others to dismiss or manage them for you. Emotional sovereignty means being able to state your position, express your needs, or set boundaries without emotional reactivity and without requiring the other person to agree, understand, or approve. It means speaking from strength rather than from a need to be rescued or validated. Practice this in low-stakes situations first. Instead of saying, "I feel like maybe we could possibly do something different if that's okay with everyone," try, "I prefer we go with option B," instead of, "I hate to bother you, but would it be too much trouble to possibly consider?" Try, "I need you to handle this by Friday." Notice how your nice guy programming resists direct communication. It will tell you that being clear is being rude, that stating preferences is being selfish, that maintaining boundaries is being difficult. These thoughts are not moral guidance. They're conditioning designed to keep you manageable and predictable. Emotional sovereignty is not about becoming emotionless or disconnected. It's about becoming the author of your emotional experience rather than its victim. The third pillar of your transformation is strategic reading, the ability to accurately assess people, situations, and dynamics without the distortion of wishful thinking or emotional attachment to particular outcomes. Your nice guy programming has trained you to read situations through the filter of how you want them to be, rather than how they actually are. You've developed sophisticated skills at creating charitable interpretations for others' behavior while being harshly critical of your own. This isn't kindness. It's strategic blindness that leaves you vulnerable to manipulation and disappointment. Strategic reading begins with understanding that people reveal their true priorities through their actions over time, not through their words or intentions. Your nice guy programming has made you give excessive weight to what people say they value, while ignoring what their behavior actually demonstrates they prioritize. When someone consistently shows up late to commitments with you, their words about how much they value your relationship matter less than their actions demonstrating that your time is not a priority for them. When someone asks for your opinion but consistently makes decisions that ignore your input, their statements about valuing your perspective matter less than their pattern of dismissing it. Implement this immediately with the action audit technique. For the next month, keep a simple log of important relationships in your life. Note what people say they value versus what their actions demonstrate they prioritize. Don't make this about judging others. Make it about seeing clearly so you can adjust your expectations and investments accordingly. The second component of strategic reading is understanding the difference between someone's capacity and their willingness. Your nice guy programming has trained you to assume that when people don't meet your expectations, it's because they can't, rather than because they won't. This distinction is crucial because it determines your response strategy. If someone lacks capacity, patience and development might be appropriate. If someone lacks willingness, continued investment of your energy becomes a strategic error. Most of your frustration in relationships comes from treating willingness issues as capacity issues, trying to teach or convince people who have already demonstrated their priorities through their choices. Practice distinguishing capacity from willingness by observing how people behave in areas that matter to them versus areas that don't. The person who never has time to follow through on commitments to you but always finds time for activities they prioritize is demonstrating willingness, not capacity limitations. The third aspect of strategic reading is recognizing manipulation tactics and emotional games. Your nice guy programming has made you vulnerable to several common manipulation strategies because you've been trained to assume good intentions and take responsibility for others' emotional states. Learn to identify these patterns. Guilt manipulation. After everything I've done for you, responsibility shifting, you made me react this way. False urgency. This has to be decided right now. And emotional hostage taking. I'll be devastated if you don't. These aren't necessarily conscious manipulation. Often people use these tactics unconsciously because they've learned they're effective ways to get needs met. Your response to manipulation tactics should be calm non-engagement. Don't argue about whether the tactic is fair or try to convince the other person they're being manipulative. Simply refuse to make decisions based on pressure and return to the actual issue being discussed. The fourth component of strategic reading is understanding power dynamics in relationships and organizations. Your nice guy programming has made you blind to power because you've been taught that acknowledging power is somehow immoral or cynical. But power exists whether you acknowledge it or not, and your refusal to see it clearly doesn't make you virtuous. It makes you ineffective. Every relationship has a power dynamic. Someone has more influence, more options, more leverage, or more control over outcomes. This isn't necessarily good or bad. It's simply information that affects how the relationship functions. Your nice guy programming has trained you to pretend these dynamics don't exist, which leaves you consistently surprised when they affect outcomes. Start observing power dynamics consciously. Who has more options in the relationship? Who has more influence over decisions? Who has more leverage if the relationship ended? Who benefits more from the current arrangement? This information doesn't determine your values or choices, but it helps you understand the context in which you're operating. The fifth aspect of strategic reading is pattern recognition over time. Your nice guy programming has trained you to treat each interaction as an isolated event, constantly giving people fresh starts and benefits of doubt that prevent you from seeing larger patterns of behavior. Strategic reading means tracking patterns over months and years, not just individual incidents. It means recognizing that someone who has disappointed you repeatedly is likely to continue disappointing you, regardless of their latest promises or explanations. It means understanding that someone who has never reciprocated your investment is unlikely to start now simply because you invest more. This doesn't mean writing people off or becoming cynical about human nature. It means adjusting your expectations and investments based on demonstrated patterns rather than hoped-for changes. It means making decisions based on who people have shown themselves to be, rather than who you wish they were or who they claim they want to become. Strategic reading is ultimately about respecting reality enough to base your decisions on it, rather than on fantasies that feel more comfortable. The fourth and final pillar of your transformation is sovereign leadership. The ability to create the life you want by taking full responsibility for your choices, boundaries, and outcomes while inspiring others through your example rather than your compliance. This is where your transformation reaches its peak. Everything you've learned about strategic awareness, emotional sovereignty, and strategic reading culminates in your ability to lead your own life with the clarity and strength that naturally draws respect, opportunities, and authentic relationships. Sovereign leadership begins with understanding that leadership is not a position or title. It's a way of being in the world. It's the quality of taking full ownership of your life's direction while remaining unattached to others' approval of your choices. Your nice guy programming has conditioned you to seek permission for your decisions and validation for your worth. Sovereign leadership means becoming the ultimate authority on both. Machiavelli wrote, "The first method for estimating the intelligence of a ruler is to look at the men he has around him. As the ruler of your own life, the people you allow close access to your time, energy, and emotional space reflect your standards and values. Your nice guy programming has trained you to accept relationships based on history, convenience, or avoiding conflict, rather than on mutual respect and reciprocal value. Conduct an honest assessment of your inner circle. Are these people who challenge you to grow, support your goals, and demonstrate through their actions that they value what you bring to the relationship? Or are they people who drain your energy, consistently prioritize their needs over yours, and take your presence in their lives for granted? This assessment isn't about judging others harshly. It's about recognizing that your tolerance for low-quality relationships directly impacts your ability to create high-quality outcomes in your life. Sovereign leaders curate their relationships strategically, not because they're cold or calculating, but because they understand that who you surround yourself with shapes who you become. The supreme test of sovereign leadership is your response when your new boundaries and standards create conflict with existing relationships. This is where your transformation faces its greatest challenge. People who have benefited from your nice guy programming will resist your changes. They'll call you selfish, difficult, or changed. They'll attempt to guilt you back into patterns that served their interests. Here's your moment of truth. Will you retreat back to familiar patterns to restore comfort and avoid conflict? Or will you maintain your new standards despite the temporary discomfort of others' displeasure? This is not a test you pass once. It's an ongoing choice that defines your character. Every time you choose your authentic standards over others' comfort, you strengthen your capacity for sovereign leadership. Every time you retreat to avoid conflict, you reinforce the programming that has kept you trapped in mediocrity. The second aspect of sovereign leadership is developing the ability to inspire through example rather than through accommodation. Your nice guy programming has taught you to try to influence others by being so helpful, agreeable, and accommodating that they'll want to reciprocate. This strategy fails because it communicates weakness rather than value. Sovereign leadership influences through demonstration of principles rather than through management of others' emotions. When you maintain your standards consistently, handle conflict calmly, and pursue your goals regardless of others' opinions, you naturally command respect. People are drawn to those who know who they are and what they stand for. Start demonstrating sovereign leadership in small ways immediately. When asked to compromise your boundaries, decline calmly without extensive justification. When others attempt to create urgency around their needs, respond at your own pace. When people try to guilt you into decisions, acknowledge their feelings without changing your position. The third component of sovereign leadership is strategic decision-making that considers long-term consequences rather than short-term comfort. Your nice guy programming has trained you to make decisions based on immediate emotional relief, avoiding conflict, preventing disappointment, maintaining harmony. Sovereign leadership makes decisions based on long-term alignment with values and goals. Before making any significant decision, ask yourself, will this choice move me closer to the person I want to become and the life I want to create? Or will it keep me comfortable in patterns that don't serve me? This question cuts through emotional manipulation and social pressure to reveal what actually matters for your development. The fourth aspect of sovereign leadership is understanding that your transformation serves others even when they resist it initially. By refusing to enable others' irresponsible behavior, you create opportunities for them to grow. By maintaining your standards, you demonstrate that healthy relationships require mutual respect. By pursuing your authentic goals, you give others permission to do the same. This doesn't mean imposing your changes on others or trying to transform them. It means living your transformation consistently and allowing others to choose how they want to respond. Some will rise to meet your new standards, and your relationships will deepen. Others will reveal that they were only interested in what you could do for them, and those relationships will naturally fade. Both outcomes serve your highest good, even when they feel difficult in the moment. Your transformation from nice guy to sovereign leader is not complete when you finish this video. It's complete when you've consistently chosen your authentic power over comfortable conformity enough times that it becomes your natural way of being in the world. This is your invitation to step into the leadership of your own life with the clarity, strength, and wisdom that creates the respect, opportunities, and authentic relationships you deserve. As Machiavelli knew, it is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both. But what he truly understood was that authentic respect combines both elements naturally. When you operate from sovereign leadership rather than nice guy programming, you become both trustworthy and formidable. both caring and strong. The transformation you've begun today will not be easy. Every old pattern will fight to reassert itself. Every relationship built on your former compliance will test your new boundaries. Every situation that previously triggered your people-pleasing will challenge your commitment to authentic power.
But here's what's waiting for you on the other side of this discomfort. Relationships built on genuine mutual respect rather than transaction.
Professional opportunities that come to you because of your demonstrated value rather than your availability. A deep, unshakable sense of self-worth that doesn't fluctuate based on others' moods or opinions. Most importantly, you'll experience the profound peace that comes from knowing you're living your life according to your own values and vision rather than trying to meet everyone else's shifting expectations. The principles you've learned today, strategic awareness, emotional sovereignty, strategic reading, and sovereign leadership, are not one-time lessons. They're lifetime practices that deepen with experience and strengthen with application. Your nice guy programming took years to develop, and it won't disappear overnight. But every time you choose clarity over comfort, boundaries over approval, and authenticity over accommodation, you're building the person you were meant to become. The world needs your authentic power, not your comfortable compliance. The people who truly deserve your energy will respect your boundaries and value your genuine self. The opportunities that align with your highest potential will be drawn to your strength, not your availability. Machiavelli's greatest insight wasn't about power over others. It was about the power to shape your own destiny through conscious choice, rather than unconscious reaction. The transformation begins now. Continue connected with this channel to master the advanced strategies of authentic power, sovereign leadership, and the relationships that honor the person you're becoming. Your former self served others' agendas. Your transformed self creates the agenda worth following.